Here we go.
You're tuning in to Will Love Listen. Now listen.
Jackie Goldschneider, thank you for joining me today. It's great to finally see you face to face because I know the last time we spoke it was over the phone.
Yeah, it was just audio. Nice to see you as well.
Yeah, nice to meet or at least meet you virtually. Um, so there's a lot I want to talk about. First off, congratulations with your book. The Weight of
Thank
Beautiful
you.
has been doing really well. Now we have the hardcover. We're getting the paperback, which is
Yes.
dropping or already dropped on February 5th, rather. So
February 4th. Yeah.
February 4th. So I really want to talk about the book with you, some Housewives stuff, and more of your background, because I always found your backstory very interesting on the show. I feel like they never really delved into it deep enough, all the
Yeah.
stuff you do in real estate. Um, but first off, let's talk about this book. So hardcover, now paperback. It's been doing really well over the past year, getting a lot
Mm.
of press. So,
Mm.
given that you are a writer and that you wrote your book without a ghostwriter or a co-writer, that has to feel good.
Yeah, I'm really, really proud of this book. What I wanted is for it to be out in the world helping people, and that mission has been achieved. I get so many messages from people that the book helped them to either start their own recovery process or help them understand what a loved one, a little of what a loved one might be going through. Because an eating disorder, it's a mental illness, and it's hard to understand if you don't have one. Like the number of times people have said to me, "Well, can I just make you something to eat?" And it doesn't work like that. So I really wanted people to be able to understand what an eating disorder is and how it can develop out of nowhere. And yeah, the book, I did a lot of press for it when it first came out, and then I kind of just let it live. So I've been letting it live. So it's really exciting to have the paperback out now because I get to do a little more talking again. But I'm really proud of this book.
And you sent it to me last time, and I read it and I found it to be really deep, really emotional, a lot more serious than I anticipated, which I think is great. So you touched upon about how an eating disorder is really a mental illness. So I really want to discuss that more in depth. Where do you feel an eating disorder develops? Do you feel like it's genetic? Do you feel like it's often triggered by a certain life event or experience? Or do you feel like you could really get it by sort of, I don't want to say it's impressionable, but being around someone who already has it?
I wouldn't say that it's genetic. I think that it's really highly um, environmental factors. So one of those could be the way you're raised, which might lead you to think that it's genetic because you get it from if your parents have it, then you get it. But I think it's more of a culmination of what you watch as a child. You see other people doing things. But even if you grow up in a household that has the most normal eating habits, um, there's a lot of pressure everywhere you look. So with social media, I didn't grow up with social media, but with social media now and kids, you can grow up in the most healthy household and then step outside and get all this messaging about the value of being thin. And especially now with diet drugs, it's a whole new ball
Yeah.
game. Now there's no excuse to not be thin. And I think that all of those messages can culminate into this warped sense of how you should eat in order to achieve the body that society tells you should have. But it could also be, a triggering event. So if you have some of that messaging, like for me, I had all that messaging, and then I had a triggering event, which was when I was in my senior year of high school. My doctor, I had my physical for college, and my doctor just completely um, weight shamed me and told me that I was not going to have any fun in college if I didn't lose some weight. And he sent me straight from his office to Weight Watchers. And that was the last day of my life that I wasn't on a diet. And And I think for me, that was what sent me into like a tailspin of, oh God, I have to change right now. Like, so I have to do anything I can to change right now. And I started losing weight like that day.
Wow. Wow. So that kind of supports like a feeling that I already had that you could be triggered and something
Yeah.
could just send you in like a downward spiral. But were you
Mhm.
bullied growing up? Did that factor into the eating disorder?
Yeah. So I was a pretty normal kid until I was like 13. I was really like into playing sports outside and being outside. And I moved when I was 13 to a really empty new area. And I was very, very lonely. And I entered high school and started gaining weight like right away. And I had no friends. I lived really far from like the main part of town. My parents worked full time. I was basically stuck home. I took the bus to school and then was just stuck home. And it's not so much that I was bullied. I mean, people definitely made comments to me about not being attractive. Um, but I was more ignored. Like it was like if I just disappeared the next day, I don't know that anybody would have noticed or cared or like so that was it was just this feeling of not mattering. And I did get comments from boys, mostly boys. Girls didn't, do that to me. But I have a brother who came into high school the same grade as me because he was held back a year. And we had never gone to school before because he's disabled and he had always gone to special schools. But we went to the same high school and people bullied him a lot. So, I mean, he's everything to me. So, it's as though I was bullied as well. So he was bullied a lot. I was essentially completely forgotten. And I think the combination of everything just, it was a lot. It's a lot for a teenager. It really shapes you.
Yeah, especially because those years are so crucial. They have such
Yeah.
an effect on you growing up. So that coupled with when you're about to go to college and you're hearing things and experiencing feeling isolated at high school, coupled with now a doctor's almost kind of confirming, how everyone else was treating you, that probably
That was
started.
a perfect storm.
Yeah, it really.
Yeah. Hmm.
So now, as an adult, and I know I read your interviews and we spoke before, so I know a little bit about this, but I sort of want to touch on this a little bit further. So growing up, now your eating disorder develops, but you manage to keep it under wraps for a long period of time.
From
What
strangers. Yeah.
from strangers? Was there anyone in your immediate circle that knew how bad your eating disorder was?
I don't know if they knew how bad it was, but if you spent any significant amount of time with me, you could see all the signs. Now, I don't know that people really know all the signs, because a lot more people have disordered eating than have eating disorders, but there's a lot of disordered eating that goes on, especially among women. So, you go out to lunch with me and you see me pick at a salad and not use dressing, you might get an inkling, right? But if you spend a whole weekend with me and see me do that for every single meal, and then see me exercise erratically, and then see me writing down my calories, then you know. So it's hard to say. I mean, Evan knew a lot of it, even though it was never ever spoken about. I didn't let anybody talk to me about it. But there were, you know, my weight would fluctuate out of my control. It would fluctuate within a few pounds. For a long time, I kept it to 1 pound. But sometimes I looked to other people okay. I looked fine. There were times I got really, really, really thin. And so I think people knew that I had some issues with food, but I'm not sure anyone outside of Evan really knew how awful it was.
What are some ways that people tend to hide it when they have an eating disorder?
Oh, well, they bank their calories. So what I would do is if I had to be in front of people and I knew that I had to eat in front of them, I would just save. I would just eat like open bags of lettuce and just keep it with me and just eat that whenever I got like a hunger pain so that all of my calories could go towards eating in front of people so that no one would know anything. You learn how to play with your food, tuck it under things at the table. And, I don't want to give anyone any tips or anything, but like you learn how to hide your food, you learn how to store up your calories. There was a lot of compensatory exercise, just anything to get those calories off. So everything was a calculation. Every single food I ate was a calculation. Every time I looked at a piece of food, I saw numbers, and it was all just math. So if I had to eat something, I would eat it, and then I would make sure that every single calorie of it came off.
Wow. And you
Yeah.
did that for a long period of time then.
I did that for
Good
18
grief.
years.
Wow. That's almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
And I know you had some health issues because of that. Could you elaborate?
Yes. Yeah, I had a lot of health issues actually. So my heart rate was really seriously low, dangerously, dangerously low. Um, I had something called bradycardia. So when you lose drastic amounts of weight, you lose a lot of muscle too. And that's not just the muscles in your arms and your quads, that's muscle from your organs as well, because your body has to compensate for everything that you're not giving it, right? So it sheds some of the muscle, because it has to hold on to some of the calories. So I lost muscle mass from my heart, and so my heart would, have to work a lot harder than everybody else's to beat. So I had something called bradycardia. For a long time, I was in a constant state of hypothermia. So I was so cold because I didn't have enough body fat to keep me warm. When I was in the worst of my eating disorder, I developed a hair that infants develop. It's like a slight blonde hair. It was all over my body, on my shoulders and on my face. And that's developed to keep you insulated and keep you warm. Um, I threw off my liver enzymes horribly, that I still have liver issues to this day. Last year I had to go for a liver biopsy because things got really bad with my liver. I'm okay, but I'm on a lot of medications for things that I did to my body. I my hair got very thin, my nails were very weak, I was tired a lot. um, I'm sure that I'm missing some of the things now, but I never had bulimia, so I didn't have the teeth issues, but a lot. I messed up my body a lot. And the thing is that I didn't really know how to stop. So I was exercising through all this stuff. So figure a heart like that struggling to beat, and I'm running for 45 minutes at 7 miles an hour. It's a really dangerous combination,
Yeah.
and a lot of people die of anorexia. Not a lot of people, but it's the number one most fatal mental illness. And people don't know that. And I don't think I knew that. And I didn't want to acknowledge that. But it's very scary to think of what could have happened.
Yeah, that is scary. And you wrote about how it affected your pregnancies as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, that's a huge one. I could not get pregnant. I stopped menstruating probably 1 year into the my anorexia. I stopped menstruating because, and just to give you a little background of it, because you're not feeding it enough, right? So your body needs a certain amount of calories in order to keep your organs functioning. So if you're not giving it enough calories, it has to let go of certain bodily functions, and one of those is menstruating. And so my body, I stopped menstruating, and so I obviously could not get pregnant, and I never got it back. Um, but I couldn't get pregnant. So thank God for fertility treatments. But it took, I went through many, many, many rounds of IVF.
Yeah, you did. It was good that you were able to have twins like twice.
Oh yeah, the first round and the fifth round. So I guess it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now you've dealt with this, like you said, for 18 years and you figured out how to sort of keep it under wraps, to the best of your ability, of course. Now you get on the show. Um, and now, because you guys are always out to dinners and they're always filming, you had to be strategic about your eating. So I
Yes.
want you to kind of discuss that a bit.
Well, when they first came to me with the show, I thought to myself, if they leave cameras at my house, because I didn't know how it worked, if they leave cameras at my house 24/7, obviously I can't do this because there's no way to hide it 24/7. But I knew how to bank enough calories in order to eat in front of the cameras and then not eat the rest of the day. But, you know, I love the show, but I will say that meal scenes, oftentimes nobody eats. Nobody eats not because they have problems eating. They have, you don't want to have food in your teeth on camera.
Yeah.
You want to get through the scene. You want to, it doesn't look as elegant to be stuffing your face, right? So a lot of times, like people will take 2, 3 bites of their meal and just leave the rest there. So it wasn't as hard as I thought that it was going to be because a lot of times if I just took 2 bites of my meal, it was like par for the course.
Yeah, true. And it's so funny after reading your book, I noticed that when I would watch like the different franchises, they'll be at
Yeah.
these really nice restaurants, but they never really eat. And outside of like the discussions, I feel like it has to do with everything you mentioned.
Right. Right. Yeah. So it's not like they have eating issues. It's just, you don't want spinach in your teeth.
Now, on New Jersey in particular, everything's always like getting exposed. So, were you up until like you ended up like facing it like full on? Were you ever worried that someone was going to use that as like a topic of discussion against you? Which,
I was terrified. In fact, my first season, without anyone even noticing anything, I got so nervous that I made up a story that I had recovered, just so if anyone saw any weird habits, they would just think like, well, she already said she's recovered, so I'm not going to worry about it. And it worked for a while. And then my second season, it didn't work so well because there were just, like I said, if you watch me for long enough, you'll notice the things that are just too abnormal. Like the scene when I took the girls to my home in the Hamptons and I ate the chips at breakfast. I was eating some like dehydrated pea chips, and everyone else was eating a regular breakfast. I don't know how to eat a regular breakfast. I mean, I didn't then. Now I do. Um, but for me, that was terrifying, and I didn't know what to do. And I didn't have any. Usually, I would stock the fridge on cast trips with like yogurt and fruit, and there was nothing in there. I don't know what happened to the yogurt and fruit, but it wasn't there, and I didn't know what to do. And so I just ate these chips because they had a calorie count on the back, and I would know how to calculate it, and that became a storyline.
I remember that. I remember your first season, season 9, when you were in Oklahoma and you did say you had recovered,
Yeah.
but then your eating habits became a topic of conversation on that trip, if I recall correctly. And then
Um,
a little
on
bit.
the Hamptons trip,
Yeah,
everyone kind of bought it when I said that I recovered on the Oklahoma trip.
they did initially, and then
Yeah.
there were like little whispers that in season 10, and then season 11 is when you kind of started being like more open about it onward, from what I recall.
Season 12 is when I recovered.
Yes,
Yeah.
the recovery season.
Season 11, I wasn't as open about it. Season 11 was the season that I had a really rough time with Teresa and Evan.
Yeah, that's
And
when.
so there wasn't really much room to talk about an eating disorder that season. But the aftermath of that is when I developed a lot of issues. So I would deal with stress by not eating. Everything came back to food for me.
Yeah.
So when I was really upset, I just didn't want to eat anything. And so I got I lost so much weight between seasons and I didn't have that much weight to lose. So when season 14, well, I'm sorry, when season 12 was about to start, I had a like another, I had a few rock bottoms over the years, but I had another rock bottom. And I just said, you know what? If I don't stop now, I'm never going to stop. And if I can do it in front of the whole world, then I know I won't like go back on it because I won't show people that it's too hard. Right.
Yeah.
So I figured if I have everyone holding me accountable, all the viewers of the show holding me accountable, I'll follow through. And I knew that I had to save my own life because I did know by that point. I watched someone I know die, and I didn't want to be a statistic, So I sort of selfishly and sort of, to try to save other people, came out with it, and it worked.
Yeah, that's the season I think I was remembering because I remember a lot of scenes with you in therapy, and you really going in depth with that.
Yeah. And what's curiously, when I was when I first pitched the book, I had a different agent, and she was great. But I wrote the proposal, so you write a proposal, and then that's what you use to sell a memoir to a publisher. And I wrote the proposal, and the agent called me, and she said, "I think it's great, but I think that you are still really struggling, and you're still in the recovery process, and it's too early for you to write this book." And I said, "But you don't understand. I want to write it while I'm still in it, because that's where you're going to get the most authentic stuff from me. Once I'm recovered and I'm looking back on it, there's
Yeah.
going to be things I don't remember. Right now, I'm feeling everything. It's really hard for me, right?" And we had such a creative difference on that we ended up parting ways, and I found an amazing new agent, and I loved her, and she really championed me writing the book. But one of the reasons why it's so raw is because I was still really in the beginning stages of recovery when I started writing that book. Recovery takes a really long time. I'm still not fully there. So, I didn't want to wait until I was completely in the clear, because I don't even know if that day will ever come. I hope it does. I think it will, but it's hard.
Yeah, no. And I think it's better, honestly, because it came out great that you wrote
Oh,
it
thank you.
while you were healing because,
Yeah.
it's more open and also, like you said, like you never know when you're going to be 100% recovered. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Especially it's hard. It's really hard right now. I wrote another chapter for the paperback, and it's sort of a follow up. I wrote the last words of the hardcover at the end of, at the beginning of 2023. So it's been 2 years, and a lot has changed for
Yeah.
me. And so it's sort of like an update. But one of the things that I talk about is how hard it was to do this during the influx of diet drugs. And, whoever wants to be on a diet drug, go for it. That's your life. But it's really hard to get bigger while the world around you shrinks. It's hard to justify gaining weight when every commercial is about how easy it is to lose weight. It threw a real curveball into the recovery process for me. And I talk about that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I do want to talk about that a bit because I feel like, pop culture and celebrity culture, it's very trendy. I feel like there's not a lot of authentic things about it because like there was one point just a couple of years ago before the Ozempic craze where everyone was preaching body positivity during the whole Lizzo era, and then
Mhm.
Ozempic comes out, Manjaro becomes
Yeah.
mainstream, and then it's like fuck that. So it's you know what I mean? It's very trendy, and now it's alarming because like even I have like a friend that he went on Ozempic a couple months ago, and he almost passed out when he went hiking. Um, and if he has like not even like a big meal, like any like just like a meal in general, sometimes he'll vomit
Yeah.
and like literally barely eats. And I'm like, you need to start like doing like IV therapy or some shit like that because you're gonna start passing out.
Yeah, but not only that, but a lot of people who are on these drugs, when, you're not so hungry and so you eat very little, the choices that they're making are not, they're not like protein and fiber. They're eating like a slice of pizza. And so I worry, right now it's all well and good. What's going to happen in a few years, especially with all the older women, 40s, 50s, 60s that are on these drugs? You lose so much muscle mass as a woman as you age. And so you're eating so little, you're not eating protein, you're losing all this muscle. It's so bad for your body. So you look good, but the insides, I just worry about where we're going to be with these drugs in a few years.
Yeah. And now there was just a story that came out very recently. They actually, I'm not sure if you saw the article, but they used uh Dolores's photo in it. But it was
No, I
about
didn't see this.
how like but it was a story about actual study that just came out where like now like Ozempic they're finding could cause blindness. So
No, I didn't see that.
yeah.
And that's the worry that there are long-term studies on it with bodies with diabetes. There's not long-term studies on bodies without diabetes. So the way that these drugs affect your blood sugar, um, when you don't have an issue with your blood sugar is, remains to be seen in, over the course of a few years because we don't know yet. And that's very scary to me. I can't lie. There are moments where I'm like, because I do, I am bigger than I've been in 20 years, and that's fine. I still look great. And also, I'm not a supermodel, so who cares? But there are moments when like I'll internally freak out. And that's what I mean by like I'm not fully there yet, is that I have these moments where I'm like, I'm getting too fat, I'm getting too fat. I have to stop. And then I'm like, nope, not going to stop. Right. But I do have these moments where I'm like, if I ever did gain too much weight and spiral and like something happened and I just got really obese, I would just go on these drugs, and I hate that it's even an option.
Yeah.
I hate that it's even there.
Well, now it's so readily available. You could get it at a friggin' med spa.
Yeah,
Like I know
I
like
won't
what makes
ever do it.
of
I
it.
would never ever do it. And I know that. For all the people in recovery, I hate that it's an option because really we don't know. Listen, if you told me that it was completely, absolutely 1,000% safe and there's long-term studies and nothing bad happens, great, great. But I'm not so sure that's the case, but I'm not a doctor. So whatever. I just, Ozempic really does throw a curveball to anybody in the recovery process.
And you feel as though it enables an eating disorder, basically.
Oh, that I do. So there's a difference between taking these drugs if you need them. If you are obese
Yeah.
and the pros outweigh the cons, okay, because being obese has its own risk factors, a lot of comorbidities. You can have a stroke, you can have a heart attack, right? The risk of the unknowns of these drugs outweighs the risk of what we know happens when you're obese, right? However, if you take like the people I know who are on these drugs,
Yeah.
the vast number of people I know on these drugs. Now, the people on my cast have admitted that they're on them, so I'm not outing anybody, right? None of those women had a weight issue before. Fine, they weren't going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. None of us are. But none of those women had a weight issue. And now they have issues with food, right? Because they can never go off of these drugs. Because every single study shows when you go off of these drugs, your hunger comes back, your metabolism slows down so much because you're not eating. So when you go off, your hunger goes through the roof and your metabolism is super slow. So you end up gaining back even more weight than you lost. This is what the study shows. This is not just my opinion. So you're stuck. So now you take somebody who didn't have issues with food, right? And maybe they had like 5 pounds to lose. And now they have issues because if they ever want to go back, if they ever miss their hunger, if they ever miss enjoying food, if they ever, get nervous about the side effects, you cannot go off of this unless you're ready to put back a significant amount of weight.
That's a good point because it makes you basically, it's almost like an addiction because
Yeah. Oh,
now,
being thin is an addiction for sure.
yeah, especially, and Ozempic too, because n now these people take it, they like lose weight rapidly, but they know they're going to gain it all back and then some if they go off of it. So it's like they need it, you know?
Yeah, and I know a lot of women, actually, I know a fair number of women that lost a lot of hair while they're on Ozempic. And I say Ozempic, I mean semaglutides and all the diet drugs
Yeah.
under that umbrella term. But they lost a lot of hair and tried to go off and ended up gaining so much weight so quickly that they went back on and just, got hair extensions. So, but you really, I know several people who have tried to go off and had to go back on. So, in that sense, I feel like they take people who have a pretty healthy relationship with food, and these drugs destroy that healthy relationship, in essence, giving you an eating disorder.
Yeah, and you explained it very well. And all people have to do is like Google and see like all like the dangers that come with the drug, and even read about people's own experiences with it.
I know, but I'll be the first to tell you, I understand that desire to be thin. I mean, I did it to a point where I almost killed myself for it. It's, there's, when you start to lose weight, that positive messaging from everyone around you, no matter how bad it is for you and what you're doing to yourself, the number of people on my way from, so at my heaviest, I was well over 200 pounds. And then at my thinnest, I was over 100 pounds thinner than that. So, the number of people on my way down who told me, "Oh my God, you look unbelievable." Meanwhile, I was starving myself. I was destroying my heart. I had hypothermia. I couldn't get pregnant. Like all the things I did to myself, the
Yeah.
positive messaging, it messes with your head. So all these people who are on these diet drugs right now, why even forget about the fact that you go off and like you're super hungry, all the other stuff, right? The fact that you are like everyone's telling you this is the best that you've ever looked in your life, that alone is enough to make you say, well, why would I ever go off? How could I ever go off? I don't want to not look the best that I've ever looked in my life, right?
It's a mind fuck, really, because
Yeah, it's a
like
total mind fuck, completely.
it's almost like it makes your security dependent on the drug. So it's almost like all your health problems are worth it. That's the impression it gives.
Well, you just don't let yourself think about it, right? I mean, like I knew I had moments through the years where I was like, this is fucking crazy. What I'm doing to myself right now is fucking crazy. I mean, not everybody read the book, right? So there was a scene where I had sinus surgery, and the doctor told me, like, do not do anything physical for at least a week, if not 2 weeks. I was completely bandaged up. I mean, my eyes were like black and blue. I had bandages all over my face. The next morning, I ran 5 miles because I physically and mentally didn't know how to not run. I needed the calories to leave my body. I needed the sweat to pour off of me, and I didn't know how to do it. And it was so dangerous what I did to myself that day with all the drugs I was on and all the bandages and stitching and swelling and bruising. And I like, you don't let yourself think about all the bad things you could be doing because you don't know how to stop. It's like any addiction.
And it's a dangerous one at that, that I feel like society still there's a little bit of a taboo factor with eating disorders and shame involved with it still, that I like that your book is really shedding light on all the ins and outs of it.
Thank you.
Was it hard filming probably the last season? Because by that point, all of the girls, not all of them, but a majority of them were on like all these semi-glutide drugs.
Yeah, I don't really look at most of the women on my cast as role models. So I expected
Yeah.
it. Listen, if anyone's going to be on these drugs, it's the housewives, right? They're the perfect what's the word that I'm looking for?
Audience
Like
for it.
population of who's
Yeah.
going to be on this, right? Like we're middle-aged women, we're on camera, everybody's judging us on social media. We put our lives there for people to see. We get all dressed up for these events. Like if anyone's going to be on it, it's probably the housewives, right? Especially because, being a middle-aged woman is hard. It's you gain weight. Menopause makes you gain weight. Your body is going through things that like the weight just comes on. The things you used to do to stay thin, they don't work anymore. So I'm not shocked that most of these women were on it. Um, and when I say like I don't look at them as role models, many of them are perfectly nice women, and I like that. I have a few close friends on the cast, and like Jen Fessler has admitted that she's on it, and she's one of my closest friends on the cast. And it's not that so I didn't feel so bad around them per se. And by the time I was in my last season, I was pretty confident in the journey that I was on. So it didn't really hold me back. I think it was the implosion of diet drugs that really, like, I remember the BravoCon in New York City was the first one when everyone was really first on all the diet drugs, and
Yeah.
everyone was just so thin and not everyone knew about the drugs yet. And I remember thinking, God, this is the start. Like, everyone's really thin. It's when Kyle first got really thin, and a lot of people were just really thin. And I was like, this is going to be really hard. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. But I mean, you've acclimated, you know what I mean? And like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
tested, which is important. Now, I want to reiterate that what I just said, it didn't tempt you because I feel like
Oh
eating
no, no, no.
is like one
No.
of those it's almost like being an alcoholic in a different in the way in which, you know, like alcoholics are always around alcohol because it's so mainstream, you could easily be tempted. And I feel like, especially nowadays with all the semaglutides, it's the same way. You could easily be tempted. So,
Absolutely. 100%. And I know a lot of people with eating disorders who have gone on them,
wow.
which is sad. But, I think I'm in a really important position
Yeah.
to be an advocate and a role model. And so um, it's not something I would ever consider. In the back of my head, I know it's there. And I hate that I even know it's there, but I would never, I know I would never do it.
Kudos. Kudos. Because your story is, people should really get the book because it's not like another, like a lot of these housewives books, as you know, are like kind of like marketing tools. It's like they get a deal because of
Yeah.
the show. It's written by a ghostwriter. They promote it. It's a paycheck. And
Right.
obviously, you know, it's a source of income for you, but it's a real story. Like you wrote it. It's your own personal experiences. So I like it. I think I told you the first time, like I wasn't as excited for Housewives book since Brandy Glanville's drinking and
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Let's hope she writes another one, right? Her life is
oh
chock
my,
full of drama.
I know.
Crazy.
I know. Shit. Yeah. And I still want that Ultimate Girls Trip to get released. Well, the whole cast does.
I don't think there'll be, I mean, my opinion, I don't know if there'll be any more Ultimate Girls trips.
That's so unfortunate.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I just feel bad for her because they did a whole investigation and they found like she was in the clear, and then all her other co-stars outside of Caroline corroborated everything that Brandy said.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it just sucks. Plus that would be a good, from what I hear, that shows if it ever
I
airs, it's
do want to see it too. Yeah.
amazing.
And they would have a ratings bonanza. So maybe it's tied up in a legal issue.
Yeah, hopefully that gets resolved so it could air. Which, speaking of things that should get resolved, Housewives of New Jersey, it's on pause.
Yeah.
One really knows what's going to happen right now. I guess my question is, what do you want to happen?
Um, God, it could go in a lot of different directions. The only thing I don't want to happen is for everyone to come back without me, because then I would have, I think it would be really hard for me to watch. I'm just being perfectly honest. It'd be very
Yeah,
hard for me to watch everyone keep going and for me to not have it. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know.
Well, I think the most likely scenario is a mix of a few current cast members with mostly a new cast. But what do I want to happen? Ideally, I would come back in some capacity, and a few of the people that I'm not at war with would come back with me, and then some new people. I don't know that I ever need to come back full time. Um, I my I have four teenagers who value their privacy, and Evan likes it better with me as a friend. And I actually had a good time as a friend.
Yeah.
So people use the word friend as like a derogatory, like, oh, you're just a friend, but like I don't care. I still get paid. I have fun. My Instagram following goes up. It opens doors, right? So like,
Yeah.
why do you need all the drama of not of like full time? Anyway, I had full time for 4 years. I'm fine. I don't. I don't know what I would want. I just don't want it to be more of the same because last season was not fun at all. And to be perfectly honest with you, it hasn't been fun in a little while. Our cast gets, and the first few years were really fun. So I know it's capable of being fun.
Yeah.
But I think in New Jersey, the current cast and certain cast members go too hard. And, it's too divided and people don't fight and make up. They just fight and then dig in deeper. And then it doesn't become a fun escape anymore. It becomes like a murder mystery. Like it's just too much. And it's when you come home from a scene and you feel gross and you just had a huge fight that's not getting resolved and you say things and people say things to you that are so hurtful, that's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun. So what I don't want is this cast again. Um, I would like to be a part of it if I can, and I'd like it to be with people who know how to have a petty argument and then come back from it.
Yeah, like they're like
Yeah,
that are cool with conflict and resolution. I feel like the best
yeah,
type shows like they could get into a fight and 3 episodes later they move on to another story.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, and if Teresa and I can make up, then anybody can make up, right?
yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. If you guys could make up after your war, which I feel was very personal, then everyone else should be able to make up.
Yeah, and like for anyone who thought that that was fake, I mean, we haven't filmed aside from the one-off at Rails last July, we haven't filmed this show in a year and a half, and Teresa and I are still close friends, like she texted me this morning. So,
Good.
um,
It's really
we have a nice friendship, and I feel like that's, what you should aim for. Like, show the real stuff, like show the fights, show what people get into conflicts about and then like show resolution and move on.
you could tell me if you agree or disagree with me, but I feel like from a viewer's perspective, shows start to become toxic when the whole cast is afraid of one person. When one person has too much power, I feel like everyone is afraid to really confront that person, and then it becomes kind of like a whole teams thing. And we've seen that on Beverly Hills during the Lisa Vanderpump era. I feel like towards the end of that era, up until everyone had enough, I feel like they were all scared they would get fired if they confronted her. You saw that on New York with Bethany for a while. And I feel like with New Jersey, we started to see that a little bit with Margaret. That they seemed afraid to confront her because she may use secrets as ammunition or put some stuff out there. So I feel like that's why a lot of people really slow their roll with her. Um
I just feel like there was um this sense of like that she made it seem as though she could push out whoever didn't side with her and that Teresa was being pushed out, so get on board with Margaret. And the people who didn't abide by that really got like the wrath. And it's just a poor strategy for a show about a group of friends. Um, I think that like when Teresa sat down with Rachel, and this has nothing to do with me, but like when Teresa sat down with Rachel and she apologized,
yeah.
the fact that Rachel and her husband dug in so deep and wouldn't allow any kind of reconciliation. I just feel like that doesn't make for a good show. Like we can't all be together. So I do agree with you somewhat. I think everybody got a little nervous not to follow that person's rules.
Yeah.
But now everyone's paying the price for it because now we don't have a show.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like like I said, like once they become afraid of one person, it's like it becomes obvious. It shows like to the audience, even if like the cast doesn't think it does.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I personally feel like it's an easy reboot. I feel like they could take who's getting along for the most part, um, and then kick out the
Well,
top.
there's two separate sides of who's getting along, right? There's like the left couch and the right couch. So
But I do
it's
feel
hard.
you could take you, Teresa, Dolores, Jen Aydin, and Jen Fessler, and potentially even Danielle Cabral, though maybe not so much, but you could at least take you five, add in a couple new chicks, and move on.
I
Um,
don't think you could put Danielle Cabral and Jenna Aydin ever in the same room.
yeah. But
And
I
to
mean,
be honest with you, I think both of them were I think Danielle Cabral particularly, not Jen Aydin as much. Danielle Cabral was violent twice, like physically violent twice. And I don't know that some of the cast members feel comfortable
yeah, yeah.
being with her, because if somebody gets physically violent when they get angry, I do think that that should be grounds for like immediate firing. I think if you hit somebody, if you throw glass at somebody, I
True.
just feel like that should be grounds for firing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because then it
Yeah.
becomes, another situation where people in a different way, they don't want to go get up against the person because they don't want to get hurt, you
Yeah.
know?
And by the way, like if that's not authentic, like if I had an argument with a friend, I would not throw a pitcher of glass at them. Like I just wouldn't, like that's not the way that adults operate. So you have to think like, well, what are the show?
That's
What are these shows? Like the Housewives shows, are they the
it's not
Bad
love and
Girls
hip hop,
Club?
you know
Or
what I
is it about like a group of friends? And I just think we've maybe like jumped the shark a little bit. Like I don't know where we are. So I think a reboot might be in order,
Oh, I
you know?
agree. But I think they
Yeah.
could keep more people than not. Meaning, like, I think if you, Teresa, Fessler, Jen Aydin, and Dolores stayed, that'll keep the audience, throw in some new chicks, and now we could move on.
I do not disagree. I think that would be a great show. I really do.
Yeah, no, I think the solution, the writing's on the wall, but it's not our decision. But that's what I think is the best move.
I've
Now,
heard it before. Yep.
now looking back, speaking of like brawls and Danielle becoming physical, obviously, Danielle Staub is a polarizing character, but looking back, do you think like what Margaret did, getting physical, like throwing the drinks, throwing the water, was like wrong?
Yeah, I don't think you should ever take it to a physical place. So I think in that scene that you're alluding to, where Danielle set Margaret's purse on fire, she emptied the content of her purse into a fire. I think that whenever it gets physical, like you can't, neither of them was right. But like you also can't dump a bottle of water on top of somebody's head and expect them not to come back at you. Danielle completely out of bounds by pulling Margaret's hair. Absolutely 1,000%. Both of them in the wrong. Margaret for throwing water on her, for pouring a bottle of water on her. Danielle for, but also like the way those two hated each other, I wasn't shocked, you know? It just got too far, It just went too far.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, yeah. So what do you think about Fessler? Because I know you are close with her. I
Yeah.
know she's not as close with the other ladies we just mentioned, but do you think you would be able to bridge that gap?
Well, me and Fessler host a podcast together. We're
Oh,
very
that's
close.
what I'm saying. I know you and Fessler are close,
Yeah.
but I
Oh,
know
do I
she's
think?
not
Yes,
as
I think
close with
Jen Fessler is very
Jen.
open to being friends with people. Um, I think that right now she's close with one side and she maybe knows the rules that go along with that
Yeah.
and wants to stay in good graces. And I think a lot of us are just waiting to see what happens with the show. I think that's the worst part of everything right now is like I I don't mind the show not being filming because there's other things that I'd like to explore, but I love the show and I would like to know either way what's happening. So like if you told Jen Fessler like you're coming back and you're coming back with Jackie and Teresa, and nobody that you're currently close with, um like not meaning me but like the other side of people that she's currently close with, I think that she would like meet with Teresa, go to dinner and like start to work on that friendship. Jen is easy. She's loving and she's fun and she's an easy person to be friends with, so I have no doubt that Jen, no matter who you put her in a room with, she'll be friends with.
Yeah, she seems cool. And I do listen
Yeah.
to some of your podcast episodes with her, and I like it. I like the dynamic.
Yeah. She's fun. Yeah.
There were some interesting interviews that you guys did together. You had some interesting guests on. I liked it.
Yeah, we have great guests. I'm loving the podcast. I'm working on another writing project, but the podcast keeps me busy and it's fun.
Two Jersey Jays, and you've been doing that for
Yeah.
that's been going for like over a year now, almost two,
Oh,
right?
well over a year. Yeah. So our producers are Tamara and Teddy. So that's the play on words with the two T's in a pod, sorry, which
Yeah.
is the most brilliant name ever.
It,
But
yeah,
yeah, we're having a good time with it. It's nice. It's nice to have some projects. Yeah.
I like it. Now this new writing project, is it a follow-up to the current book?
Um, it's not a book. I'm working on a screenplay,
Oh,
but
nice.
it's right at the beginning stages. So I took a class on how to write screenplays, and now I'm in a second class. The first class was more informational. The second class that I'm in, we actually like work on our screenplay and then get like all the feedback and everything. So I'm there now. So the second class is like 4 weeks in. So I'm like at the beginning stages of it, but it's exciting.
Oh,
I love writing, so
that's different. I
it's
like
fun.
that's really interesting. So
We'll see what
kudos
I could
for
do with
that.
that because wouldn't that be fun to like I've always wanted to write a screenplay and I think most people's ideas just die in their head, right?
Yeah,
So I figure I don't want that to happen. So little bit every day. I give it a little bit every day and it's coming together.
that's good. You
Yeah.
can write a screenplay. It could be based on behind the scenes film reality
It's
show.
actually a really kooky story.
Care to share or not yet?
We'll see if it ever makes it out. When I sell it, when I finally sell the screenplay, then I will shout it from the rooftops. Right now, I'm gonna.
Would you ever do like there's a lot of shows that reality stars are doing now, like Ultimate Girls Trip being one of them, but where they take people from different shows and cast and mesh them together, but also The Traitors, House of Villains, Celebrity Big Brother. Would you ever be open to shows like that?
Yeah, I would 1,000%, but like my first priority in life is my children, and I think it would be really hard to leave my four teenagers. I think it's harder to leave teenagers than it is to leave little because little you just need somebody watching them, right? I mean, of course, like nothing replaces a parent, but um when they're right now, the ages that they're at, they're 16 and 14, and like they just need me. They need so much guidance from me, and they need so much from me that to leave right now, and I feel like I don't have them at home for that much longer. They'll all be in college in the next few years. And I don't know that I'd want to miss a month of their life right now. But, if I got a call for another show, it would be very, very hard to say no.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
So we'll see. Some of them I think I would do quicker than others.
Which
I haven't watched some of them. House of Villains sounds like maybe a little out of my comfort zone, but Traders for sure I would do.
yeah, I think you would be good
Yeah.
at spotting a traitor too.
It seems fun.
Now, what do you think about like people trying to get back into the mix right now? Particularly, you being on New Jersey for a long time and being like one of the current cast members, what do you think about like certain cast people that are trying to like get their names back out there? Do you feel like it's genuine or authentic recently with uh Kathy Wakile kind of created all of a sudden being so receptive to Teresa and Kim D, who hated her for 10 years and was friends with her stalker for years, all of a sudden now trying to, be all good in the hood with Teresa. Do you think it's
I
authentic?
think, it's so funny because in the past few months I became friends with Kim D
Really?
and I never knew her before and I always had an idea of her in my head and she's actually lovely. She's she's smart. I went on her podcast, it didn't air yet, but like she's smart, she's well spoken, she's really lovely. She's nothing that I like had envisioned. And because I only really knew her from the show. Um, Listen, I think Kathy Wakile, I think, has said that she doesn't want to come back, but you never know. I mean, this lifestyle is very, very tempting, especially it's like having a kid. Like having a kid is so traumatic, right? It's a wonder that people have more because you forget about it by the time you go to have another one, right? So like you forget about like all the bad stuff that you go through on these shows and like you only remember the good stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they want to come back, but I don't begrudge anybody for wanting to open those doors. It does open a lot of doors.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny that you I used to know Kim years ago, when I was like really young, when she hated Melissa the first time. Um,
You're in New Jersey though, right? I feel like everyone in New Jersey is like just a few degrees of separation.
yeah, yeah, I am. I live right by the Garden State Plaza.
Oh, okay.
Literally, like I could get there in like a minute. Same with Bergen
God,
Mall.
I'd be there every day.
Actually, more like I don't like going because I'll go on like a weekday when there's less people there, but I'll never go on like a fucking weekend. Do you know what
Oh,
I
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
But no, yeah, I'm a local. And you go to Sophia a lot, and I'm there all the time, but I never cross.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's like
Yeah, they
my
have a fun bar. They have a fun bar. Yeah. I try, there's like I have like in my rotation like five local restaurants that I love, and that's definitely one of them.
what are your favorites?
Um, River Palm. There's a place called Verona in Norwood that I love. Demora in that's in Norwood also. I There's a place in my town called Axia. It's Greek food. It's delicious. I went this weekend to a Spanish restaurant called Olar. Have you been there?
That sounds, my friend told me about that. Is that the one in like
Yeah.
Northvale?
North Vale, yeah. It was
Okay.
great. Yeah, it was great. So a few, but Sophia's definitely in there.
Okay. Yeah, it is fun. I just like it because that's the only place that stays like open late, even on like a Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, and
So
they have a fun bar and good music, so it's a good place.
yeah. But I want to check out Olar now that you mentioned it. You're like the third person to
Yeah,
tell me
it's
about.
great. It's good food. It's like a lot of tapas.
Fun, fun. Good to know your Jersey picks.
Yeah, I'm a restaurant girl. Now that I eat,
Yeah.
I love to go out.
But you still look really, really thin, but like healthy thin.
Oh, thank you. I have also body dysmorphia, which I don't think I have like severe body dysmorphia, but I also don't see myself. I'd say, body dysmorphia, I think is more of like a diagnosis. I think I have a really distorted body image. So that's something I have to work on too. I definitely don't think that I see myself the way that other people see me. I don't see myself as thin anymore, which is probably not so accurate. Um, so I work on that too. I'm still in treatment weekly. And so I still have a dietitian and therapy every week with the same women that you saw on the show. So my team is still my team and I work on all these issues because there's a lot of things that, you contribute to the mental side of an eating disorder. And you have to make sure that you know how to handle stress in a way that doesn't manifest in your eating habits, right? So distorted body image is something that I work on as well.
Wow. Wow, that's good for you, really like staying put, which is smart idea, I feel, for like anybody, because like you could like and I've gone through this myself with other things, but like with therapy in particular, like you could feel you're good or like over something and then you'll get triggered. And then it's like it's good staying like I'm in therapy, like just in general. And sometimes I feel like I don't need it.
Yeah.
But it's good because then something might happen and you might get triggered and upset or
Yeah,
look
for sure.
kind of at something from years ago. And then,
Yeah.
so it's good.
Yeah.
But this has been a good conversation. I guess one thing I didn't
Yeah.
ask, actually is you're the richest wife in New Jersey, and the show never ever delved into that. And I was
Well,
always,
because that's not like who I am. Like, that's never been my identity. And because I always knew that I had it, I didn't feel like I had to show it. Like, I think a lot of the wives have to show it outwardly that they
yeah,
have money. They have to scream, I have money, because that's what they want to project. For me, I it's always been something that I tried to downplay because I don't know. I always felt a little funny because I always had more than most of the people around me. And I never wanted to be looked at as like snotty or obnoxious. So I never made it like a talking point. I never made it obvious. So I think when I took everyone to my Hamptons house, they were like, wait a
oh
second,
yeah.
you, you're the poor one. But yeah, for sure. I mean, but I have a lot of investments. I started investing in my 20s. So yeah, quiet money.
I'm shocked they never did like a Selling New Jersey.
It's never too late, right?
Yeah.
Let's get it. Let's do
Yeah,
it. Selling New Jersey.
that would be a good show. And I saw
Well, I
that.
don't think I could ever be a real estate broker. I don't have that like, like that thing inside where I can like shamelessly like just call people and like
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. I don't have that push. I'm not like ballsy like that.
No, I know what you mean. But that should be a good show. And you did an Instagram video where you talked about like all your investment properties and you
Oh,
showed
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the city. I was like, I'm
Yeah, so the problem is I never really get to go into my investments in the city because they're always rented out. But I handle all of that. So at the end of my legal career, I was a real estate lawyer, so I know how to do all of that stuff. So yeah, I handle a lot of investment properties every day.
and a good, like not upscale ones like that.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. A lot of beautiful properties. Even my Hamptons home we bought as an investment, and we use it maybe like 2 weeks a summer, but the rest of the time I rent it out. Even off season, I rent it out.
Yeah, that's good. It's always
Yeah.
like, you know, what do they say, passive income? So
Passive income. Yep.
I wish the show delved into that more. Was that your decision or theirs to not?
No, I mean, there was just, there's so little time in each episode that it's hard. Sometimes one season we were going to do it and then we got sidetracked. But it's hard also because, I have tenants in the apartments and like they're living their life. They don't want all the cameras walking in. So I don't know. It's hard. I mean, Jersey has very short seasons. So if we get
Oh,
14 episodes and they're 45 minutes each, like you don't have that much time to show everything.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Plus, they also
Yeah.
like they build out a character arc for you. So if it doesn't fit what they want, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I
Well, we'll
guess
see. So if we come back for season 15, maybe
yes,
that'll be part of my
show it
story.
off, show it off. You know,
Yeah.
one of the guys from the other franchises it always says, "I'm the richest bitch in whatever city." I can't remember which one that is, but you could
Oh,
still be the
yeah.
richest bitch in New Jersey.
Yeah, that'll be my tagline, right? That would go over well. Then I'd have all these weird cousins asking me for a loan,
Yeah,
you
see, that's
know?
why it's smart. Yeah, that's why it's smart
Yeah,
to keep it.
right.
It's a downplay.
Uh,
Yeah, I believe in that. But
well, thank you for having me. This was really fun.
yeah, this was fun. It was nice to chat with you and talk about everything. So hopefully I get to see you around.
Yeah, I would love that. Maybe I'll run into you at Sophia. But also, the paperback is like you can order it anywhere that you got the hardcover. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, it's everywhere. And what I love about the paperback is it's a different cover. So it's not just like my story, it's not a picture of me. So it's more of like a universal story of like what eating disorders are and how they affect your life. It's a beautiful cover. You can go look for it. It's called The Way to Beautiful. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. And a great new chapter.
Yes, yes, everyone should check it out. And it's also available on audiobook format as well.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. And are you going to
Thank
be having any
you.
signings?
Sorry.
Are you going to be having any signings?
We might be lining up some. Yeah. Nothing yet, but we'll be lining up some.
Perfect. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate
Thank you. Great to see you.
you too. I'm always driving through Tenafly because I actually do work for NBC. I keep that
Oh, really?
yeah, I keep that separate from like my podcast and the magazine that I write for. But yeah, I do a lot of on-air background work for them in Out of Englewood Cliffs. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I'm sure I'll run into you.
yeah, I'm always driving to Tenafly all the time because I hate the highway at that, with rush hour and all that shit.
Yeah. Oh, well, hopefully I see you.
Yeah, yeah. So let's stay
Well,
in touch.
great talking to you.
Yeah, you too. So cheers with water.
Here's a tea.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Have a good one.